Addicted to all this hope I give to you. Yo, I'm living proof that if you change your mind, you can change your life. Rest in peace to the old me, cause he had to die. I am redeemed, sober, recovered, clean. I ain't give it up, just had to switch it up the way I fiend. Now I fiend for the opposite on a positive level. 2 middle fingers up, looking at the devil. What's up? Against the odds, more than ever in my life I am focused, serving hope to the hopeless, who are living against the odds. I'm from the mud, the dirt of society, and that created this driving me to help the whole world that's living against the odds. I know some of you are struggling and probably pissed at God. I was too, but I realized nothing happened to me, it happened for me. Here to tell the story of everyone that's living against the odds.
What's up, y'all? It's Saturday night. How is everybody doing tonight? I hope everybody's having a wonderful Saturday. Man, we are excited tonight to be live again at 8 p.m. on Against the Odds with me, your host, Phil Tyler. And tonight we have a very special guest with us. We have Tiffany sitting backstage. We're going to bring her on in a little bit here, and we're going to get straight to the business. But I wanted to let everybody start to come on this live this evening. I wanted to get everybody on here and start to talk about sharing this live, getting this live out into social media. Let's get this live shared while people are coming on. I appreciate each and every one of you. If you haven't noticed, I have a screen on here. If this screen is lagging us in any way, you guys let me know and I'm going to take it right off. It is important that we have a clear broadcast today. So you guys just make sure to let me know. Those of you that know my cell phone, sure know how to text me. Do me that favor, will you? I appreciate it. We are here tonight to share hope in a hopeless world. We are here tonight to share love in a loveless world. Someone out there tonight is struggling. Someone out there tonight needs to hear a testimony of hope. And tonight we're bringing that to the stage. Tonight we have the founder of Rise Up Recovery in Hastings, Minnesota, coming on to share her story, her experience, her strength, and ultimately her hope. She will explain what happened, what it's like, and what it's like today, and how she is running a ministry with 5 years in recovery. You guys, let's bring her on because I can just sit and talk about this all day. She is backstage. I'm going to bring her up. Welcome, Tiffany, everybody.
Thank you. It's good to be here, Phil. I appreciate you having me.
I'm glad you're here.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to take off this screen. Someone said to take it off. We're lagging. But I want to let everybody know. Just bear with me for just 1 second. And I don't know if I can even take this off while I'm on. So we're just going to roll with it because I have no idea if I can take this off while I'm live. So I appreciate everyone being here. Do me a favor, you guys, share this live on your feed. Share this live in recovery groups. We want to get this live out to people that need to hear this message tonight. We are here to share hope. We are here to share testimony. We're here ultimately to share what God has done for someone in their life. Let's be proud of that. Let's be happy about that. Let's be excited about that. Thank you. We got some shares going on. So we're here tonight for you to tell your story so I can lag all I want over here on the left, right? Because you're going to tell your story. And that's really what matters today. So without further ado, let's welcome Tiffany, everybody.
Thank you so much. I'm really excited to be here. I'm honored to be here. Where to start? What it was like? What's coming to mind is that scripture in Revelations that they overcame by the blood of the Lamb and the word of their testimony. And that's what this is about, right? Overcoming. And like Phil, you said, giving hope to the hopeless. So if you're out there struggling, I hope that any bit of my story can provide you with some hope, knowing that it's possible, because I was one of those people that was deemed hopeless, that was written off by my family and my friends and even professionals. But with God, all things are possible. So for me, my journey started, I grew up in a family that addiction is present. My mom struggled with addiction, primarily my mom. This sort of stereotypical broken family and broken home, multiple divorces, some abuse stuff going on in my childhood, a stepmom who struggled with addiction too, and just a lot of chaos growing up. But in the midst of that chaos, I still had some people who were anchor points, like my grandmother who loved Jesus and went to church all the time, and I got to go with her, and I felt loved by her, and my sisters and brother, and so I had some really positive things in life too as a child. I remember though being really curious. I remember, consistently disliking how I felt, and even doing little spin arounds. Like, remember when you were a kid and you'd spin and spin and spin until you literally wanted to puke? I would do that just to make myself feel different before I had any idea that there were mood altering substances, just whatever I could do to kind of alter my mood. From the time I was a little kid, I was doing that kind of thing. I first used, I would say, both alcohol and drugs, marijuana. I think I was in 5th grade. Some were going into 6th grade. And I used with my older cousins and my sister. And I immediately liked it. And interestingly, I got sick from it too. I remember puking my guts out as a little kid, but being excited to do it again. And not realizing, not registering, that's not a normal thing. So it was more experimental for me growing up, using marijuana, alcohol, up until I was 17 years old. And when I was 17 years old, that's when I tried cocaine for the first time. And for me, cocaine was like a wonder drug. I felt everything. I was everything that I wasn't naturally, or so I thought. It gave me energy. I felt good about myself. It gave me a drive to kind of even silly things like do my chores. When I had grown up being told I was lazy and no good and that kind of thing. So it was instantaneous that I was hooked to cocaine. And through that, I had chances to experiment with other drugs, including methamphetamine. And that was an even bigger hook for me because it lasted longer and it packed more of a punch. And so by the time I was 18 years old, I was flunking out of high school, and I had been a straight A student up to this point in time. Well, okay, almost straight A student. I was in honors classes. I was set up to go to college, post-secondary, and I was failing out. We decided at that time to do a relocation fix and to move to Minneapolis with my mom. I was living in Hibbing at the time. I grew up in Hibbing, Minnesota, and we decided to kind of ship me off to Minneapolis, thinking that might be the solution, get me away from the bad people and the drugs, right? Well, within a matter of 2 weeks, I found the plug in Hopkins High School, and it was off to the races even more. And I moved down to the lion's den in a sense, you guys, right? My mom was an addict herself and really struggling with pain medications and alcoholism. And I remember, and this is just kind of a snapshot of what my relationship was like with my mom. I remember sitting on her floor in the living room, and I was messed up and I was feeling really suicidal at the time and hopeless. I'm just not even 18 years old yet and needing help, but not knowing how to get help. And I said to my mom, I just don't understand what the point is. Like, what's the point of living? And is it always going to be like this? And her response to me, which was the only response she was really capable of giving because of her state of health at that time, was, I just don't know, Tiffany. I just don't know what to tell you, or I don't know what to do. You just got to fix it and figure it out. And I remember being like, oh, well, that sucks. Then forget about it, Fortunately, my sister is amazing, and she was a really healthy person, and she was able to help me at that time. So I went to my first treatment when I was 18 years old. It was Fairview Riverside. I'll never forget the Nord House. I don't think it even exists anymore, but I loved treatment. I felt like I got some answers, that I understood okay, what I have is an illness, it's a disease, and it's not some moral issue that I'm struggling with. And so I thrived in treatment, which was the catalyst for me deciding to go to school to become a drug and alcohol counselor, which I did. And I loved. And I did really well for a number of years, you guys. Here's the caveat here. I wasn't 100% sober. I quit the drugs, but I continued to drink. What I thought was socially drinking. And I'll get to that in a minute. But it didn't work for me, right? It just continued to kind of allow me to numb out and to kind of hide. And I could be functional to a certain degree, but I was not for sure at my ultimate best. I did have a ton of success in that season, though. I thrived in school. I was in graduate school. While I was in graduate school, I had an opportunity to be trained and kind of mentored by a man named Jack Canfield. He wrote all the Chicken Soup for the Soul books. That might be how you kind of recognize him. And I had amazing opportunities come from that. I was a public speaker. I spoke in front of thousands of people. I had an opportunity to write a book with two big name individuals. And I remember kind of at my peak of life at that point in time, feeling this overwhelming sense of shame and feeling like a complete fraud, feeling like, okay, these people think one way about me, but if they knew who I really was, if they knew what I was really like, the smoke and mirrors would be over and the gig would be up and that's it. And so that was crushing for me. I had a really difficult time standing up under that. So during that season, I actually fell down some stairs. It was in the winter, much like it is right now, and I fell down some stairs and I herniated one of my discs in my back. And I had the opportunity to get put on pain medications, and I jumped at the opportunity and I immediately started abusing them. And you guys, it was literally a matter of weeks from when I was out in California and Arizona and all these different places with big name people to losing everything again. And that was sort of the kickoff of a period of about 8 years of me completely going off the rails. I lost everything. I was completely alienated from my family. I lost my career as a counselor. I got to the point where I was homeless. I put myself in some pretty horrible situations that resulted in some pretty significant trauma and PTSD that I still struggle with today. I had racked up a mental health diagnosis that is a quarter mile long, literally. It was pretty awful. It got pretty awful. I mean, some of the things, and you out there, we can paint war stories, and it gets dark and it gets really lonely, and we do things that never in a million years did we think we would ever do. Everything from getting into a car accident, and I took the life of a dog in this car accident. And when I woke up, still smoking meth in the bathroom of that hospital room with a broken neck and a broken foot. Being in treatment centers and using in treatment centers because I couldn't stop. Feeling so stuck and so hopeless and helpless. My family wanted nothing to do with me. My dad told me at one point in time, Tiffany, once you get a year sober, then I'll talk to you, but you're so destructive that I have to protect myself from you at this point in time. And that was really painful for me when my dad, like the guy who's stuck with me through everything, was like, you're too toxic. You're too toxic. I can't even be around you. So once you get your crap together for a year, then we'll talk. That felt insurmountable to me because I couldn't get my crap together for 24 hours, let alone an entire year. So, my sort of breaking point, or the turnaround piece for me, Phil, was when I found myself, I had nearly completed a suicide. I had flatlined and was non-responsive 3 times from this suicide attempt, which that's a whole God story in and of itself. And I woke up from that and I was angry. I was angry that I was alive and really stuck in self-pity that, okay, I can't even do that right. I landed in a treatment center down in Mankato, and I was using in this treatment center. And I was planning my suicide again, but this time I was like, I'm gonna get this right. I'm gonna like create this foolproof plan and learn from the things that I screwed up last time that got me help and eliminate those factors. So I'm gonna complete it this time. And something amazing happened. I didn't have kids of my own at that point in time, but as I was planning this and very near to executing it, I saw in my mind's eye, for just a brief moment, what would happen to my niece if I would have followed through with this plan. And I saw her going down this same road that I had gone down because my heart was broken and shattered by my mom. And that I could have been that catalyst for shattering her life and being the reason for her making poor choices. And that was the moment for me that it helped kind of shake me out of just the Tiffany show. Like all I could see was this far. It was my pain, my pain, my pain. That's it. That's all I could see. I couldn't see the devastating consequences and effects I was having on everybody around me. That moment was enough for me to see, holy buckets, it's not just about you. And so I reached out for help that night, and I told my sister, this is my plan. Stop me. I can't stop myself, and I need you to help me. And by the grace of God, she said, yep, okay. They mobilized with the treatment center I was in. They got me into a hospital. And hospitals were full at that point in time, much like they are lately. It's nearly impossible to get into a hospital. So I sat in the emergency room for, I think it was 2 or 3 days, and until they were able to transfer me ultimately to New Ulm. And I slept most of that. And I remember getting to New Ulm Hospital, and this was right before Christmas, 2016. And Christmas Eve night, I was talking to a nurse. Her name was Margie. I was in the psych unit at New Ulm Hospital, and I'll never forget, I was telling Margie my sob story and all these mountains that I had to overcome and how it was impossible, and really kind of just marinating in my self-pity. And she looked at me and she said, Tiffany, you need God. God is the only one that can get you out of this hole that you're in right now. And I was kind of taken aback, and I'll never forget, I said to her, no, you don't understand. I just need someone to save me and somebody to prove that I'm worth saving. And I just spoke those words out of my mouth, and I heard so clear in my heart the voice of God say, Tiffany, I have saved you. What more proof could you possibly need that you're worth saving? And then I saw all these times flash in my mind like a movie reel that I should have been dead. Countless overdoses, car accident, multiple suicide attempts, and pretty significant trauma situations that I shouldn't have walked away from. And I mean, here I am, you guys, sitting in a psychiatric hospital, literally having a spiritual experience, okay, like this complete spiritual awakening. And I don't think Margie really quite knew what was going on, but I'm saying, yes, Margie, God has saved me. He saved me. And she's like, yeah, okay, great, Tiffany, I woke up Christmas Day. I woke up different. I woke up a completely new person. And I didn't even fully understand what had happened to me. I didn't know about being born again and, all that kind of thing. But I knew I had met God, and I knew he had changed me. And that's all that mattered, right? So I'm literally skipping down the hallways of the psych hospital, like, "Ooh, I met God," and they're sitting there saying, "Okay, up her meds," like, I think we really gotta keep her here. She's gonna be on board for a while. But I was different. And I talked to my family that Christmas Day, and here's the really cool thing. They had been at a Christmas Eve church service at Plymouth Covenant Church the night before, just praying for me. And Pastor Dan Johnson was talking about the scripture that that darkness is but light to God. And my sister they were just praying for me, right? And literally at that time, as they were praying for me, the Lord intervened and completely captured my heart. I knew from that day on, and I didn't have a clue what that looked like, but I knew that I was no longer my own, that my life was no longer my own, that I belonged to God, and that I would serve him in whatever capacity he asked me to for the rest of my life. And so that's sort of what leads me to today. I've been completely restored in every single way possible. My LADC, my counseling license, was given back to me. Miraculously, honestly, just like, here you go. I went through Teen Challenge, graduated Teen Challenge, was in the ministry school, and I graduated the ministry school. So I had 2 years of sobriety, and it was completely just given back to me. Like, there you go. Like, nothing had ever happened. It was just incredible. And so I started working. I started working as a counselor again. And it was completely different for me this time. I can't tell you how freeing it is to know that I get to make mistakes and I get to struggle, and it's not dependent on me. Like, I get to rely on Jesus. Like, that for me is so freeing, because I'm a recovering perfectionist too. And so that's been so freeing for me in counseling, and to feel and to know and to live a life that you get what you see. I don't ever have to feel anymore like, oh my gosh, I'm a fraud, and these people, if they only found out who I really was, like, nope, you get to know it. And I'm proud of it, because I've been redeemed by Christ. So even the yucky stuff is like, yep, that's okay. He uses it. It's amazing how he uses it to impact other people, and not a single bit of my story has ever been wasted or is ever lost. Even to this day, he still, sometimes things I've forgotten will get brought up as I'm working with people, and it can make a huge difference with other people's lives. So now I'm going off on a tangent. I'm going to bring it back in.
Yes, we like tangents around here.
Yes.
We do. We love them.
Perfect. So I'm going to just share a little bit about Rise Up Recovery and
Please do.
how that was birthed. I was working at a treatment center in Hastings, and watching the people that I was working with do really, really well in treatment. And then within, honestly, almost days, at most weeks, once they finish treatment, falling again and again and again and again. And for me, it was brutal. It was brutal to watch these people and to know their hearts and to know their desire and their drive, and to like fall in love with Jesus and yet continue to struggle. And I was crying out to the Lord saying, I'm missing something. We're missing something. Help. What is it? We've got to do something here. And that's where peer recovery support came in. Like, that for me was like the light bulb of that's it. That's the missing piece. Because people can get all the head knowledge they want, but until we figure out how to walk it out on a daily basis, how to live this stuff out that I'm learning, there's going to be this disconnect, and there's going to be a struggle. And so that's where peer recovery comes in. We get to come alongside people and help you break down the barriers and walk alongside you as you figure it out. And even if you do fall, we get to be there alongside you, to have that hand reached out to help lift you back up. We genuinely believe, it's talked about a lot, but we wholeheartedly believe that the opposite of addiction is connection. And I know in times for myself, when I was completely shut off and alienated from my family, through they didn't know better, right? They were told that sort of a pretty toxic message of like tough love. You stick your hard boundaries out, and when they come around, then, and that's death for us. That's the last thing that we need as people who are struggling with substance use disorder. We need people who are going to say, you're struggling. I see you're struggling, and I'm going to sit with you in your struggle, and I'm going to love you. And my love is not going to be contingent upon if you're sober or if you're doing well. I'm going to love you because you're worthy of love, period. That's what we get to do with Rise Up Recovery. We get to be those people who do that on a day-to-day basis, and it's amazing. And we're seeing the fruit of that, right? We're seeing people who will call and who are in major struggles, and they're like, oh, well, I just used. Okay, well, that sucks. I know that's not in alignment with your goals, but guess what? How can I help you? How can I serve you? And it's amazing. It's awesome, and we're super excited about it, and God is building it. That's the really cool thing about this too, you guys, is this is God planted, God ordained, and God grown. So we've got some pretty cool things going on, not only the Pure Recovery, but we have a couple of women's recovery houses, one in Lakeville, one in Burnsville. Our one in Lakeville was just approved for GRH funding. So helping break down financial barriers for women who need recovery housing. We have an outreach ministry called the Grace Project, where we get to go to homeless encampments and love on those people and not just provide, we provide clothing and blankets and stuff like that, and Bibles and prayer, but we also have this vision of having a team of peer recovery specialists and mobile assessors to go out, so that when that one person does say, yep, today's the day, I want change. Perfect. Let's go now. Let's mobilize and break down the barriers and get you help today. Because as you and I both know, if we don't seize the moment, oftentimes it's lost, and it can be lost forever, We're big in naloxone. We hand out naloxone. We're a naloxone access point, and we hand out fentanyl test strips, and we want to save lives because we know that this fentanyl poisoning crisis that we have going on, we've got to counter it. So that's a little bit about Rise Up Recovery. On a personal level, I'm married to an amazing man who's also in recovery. And it's so fun to have a godly marriage with somebody who gets it and who loves to do ministry with me and who is supportive, and completely opposite of a lot of the other relationship choices I had made in the past, which is a breath of fresh air. And we have 3 kids. I'm a bonus mom to those 3 kids. We have 2 corgis who are absolutely, literally insane and super fun. And we just get to do life. We get to go to bed at 10 o'clock at night.
10 o'clock? That's late.
On a late night, right? Like on a late night, and just have normalcy. All these things that were so foreign to me and that I didn't think were possible. And I'm living it, and it's amazing. So, yeah.
I want to say something real quick. We were just talking about Rise Up Recovery. I have dropped the link to Rise Up Recovery's Facebook page in the comments below. Please do me a favor. Go support Tiffany at Rise Up Recovery Facebook page. Give her a like and a follow. We know how important it is for us to get this algorithm going on Facebook and all this techie stuff. Do us a favor and go support Rise Up Recovery. It is in the comments below. I pinned it. I am getting good at pinning comments, and I also took away the screen because I felt like we were lagging, and I figured out how to do it without pulling myself off the screen. Thank God. Right. So
learn as you go. That's awesome.
Yeah, that's how we're doing it. I've been telling people this. Yeah, man, when people are struggling, it's important that we reach out to them, especially those newcomers and those people that are in addiction and don't see that hope and they don't have that encouragement. You know what I mean? That's what's up. So you're hitting the nail on the head. You're spitting some good stuff. We still got time. We can keep talking if we want to.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can talk. We can talk about a topic that you want to talk about. We can talk about whatever. We can open it up. I can throw some comments on the screen. I mean, we can
Sure.
just have a good old time if you want to. We can just keep going, because I would like for you to keep talking.
Okay, what else should I share? Now I feel put on the spot. No, the other thing that I
Perfect.
think, the other thing that, I had shared that I had kind of a quarter-mile long laundry list of psychiatric diagnoses. Um, you guys, I have been completely healed and set free from all of that too. So not only substance use, but mental health stuff. And this isn't to say, you guys, that it's not a struggle sometimes. That, Chad and I have gone through some tough stuff in this year alone. I had herniated another disc in my back, right? And a perfect opportunity to go off the rails yet again. But fortunately, I've got a tremendous support system around me. I've got church family, I've got my family, I've got friends. That it just wasn't an option. It wasn't an option, and it wasn't a desire anymore. I think that's probably one of the big blessings that I've been given by God, is that desire has been removed. And my desire now is to just know Jesus and to make him known, and so, well, I mean, when I tell you genuinely, like, every area of my life has been completely redeemed and transformed, it has. From relationships with my family members who I'm close with again, and talk to my dad regularly. He seeks me out for spiritual advice. That's kind of a cool thing. To just meaningful relationships and friendships. Like, I had a hard time keeping friends in the past, making friends and keeping friends. And now I'm blessed with some incredible friendships that are the real, genuine friendships, So, yeah, you guys, my dad was literally planning my funeral. And I'm not saying that, I'm not exaggerating that, I'm not puffing that up. Like, he genuinely was planning my funeral. And that's a hard thing to know, especially to be able to talk with my parents and hear kind of what it was like for them during that season. But now knowing that they sleep completely at peace and they're proud of me, and recovery is awesome. And, the other tough thing that Chad and I walked through this year is we lost a baby, a pregnancy. And that was really hard. That was really painful. I had a lot of questions in my heart. I wrestled with God a lot in that. And when he says in his word that he works all things together for the good of those that love him and are called according to his purposes, he doesn't lie. He means it. He is working that in really surprising ways for the good. My marriage is stronger than it's ever been. That's something that drew us together in a really special way. I'm able to have connections with some really special women who've gone through that or are going through that, and I get to provide hope for them and to just be a listening ear in a way that I never would have before. And so that it's being used for the good. And so it's painful, and there's still a hole there, and but yet I can have faith in God and his promises, and he's faithful to that, right? So
Yes.
Yeah, so recovery's tough still sometimes, and life is tough a lot of times. He also says in his word that in this life you will have struggles. He said, but take heart because I've overcome the world. And so, I'm grateful that even in the midst of every single struggle that I have, that there's somebody that's constant and stable and a foundation that I can stand on. And that's my relationship with Christ. So just, I hope that gives somebody out there some hope, that recovery is possible. You're not a hopeless cause. I don't care who you are or what your situation is, you're not. And not only is life going to be okay, but life can be amazing. It can be absolutely amazing. So I feel like I need you to throw me some questions, Phil.
Man, we can get some questions on the screen. I just wanted to show. I've been putting up some comments. This is Anna, my wife.
Hi, Anna.
We have a lot of comments
Yeah.
today. Here's another one. I had this one on when you were talking.
Thanks, Debbie.
Debbie said she wishes that she's in, I believe, Nashville, and she wishes she was closer to your ministry, is exactly what she said.
Thank you.
And we have Amy Lee. She's a supporter of the page, huge sister. Every morning she's here.
Awesome.
She's in agreement with you with the mental health and addiction going hand in hand. Definitely got to get educated on that.
Yeah. Yeah,
Definitely.
they do. It's very rare that you see one without the other. You know, I mean, you can, but it's most of the time that co-occurring.
So I have a question for you. So
Yeah.
if let's say there's a guy or a gal out there they're struggling, they can't stay sober, and they get a hold of Rise Up Recovery. What's the process? What's the process when they get a hold of Rise Up Recovery? Like,
it's a great question.
Yeah. Like when they contact you, because someone put your link on the page. Someone put your link in the comments, Marlon.
Thanks, Marlon.
And then we have your Facebook page pinned as well.
Yeah.
But just to give us a rundown, what happens when someone calls Rise Up Recovery, like for, let's say, their peer support?
Yeah, that's a great question. So if somebody calls Rise Up and you're looking for support, we mobilize right away. We'll get you connected with a peer recovery specialist. The other piece that we do is we get you an assessment, because you need an assessment in order for services to be, I hate the almighty dollar, but it's true, right? So we get you an assessment, a Rule 25 or comprehensive assessment, and we can get you that through another organization, or sometimes I can do that too. It's just a time thing, to be honest with you. And then once we get your assessment, well, we actually will get you started with peer recovery even before an assessment is done. So you connect with your peer recovery specialist, and I would assign you to somebody. You'll meet with them. You'll sign a few little pieces of paper digitally online, and then you'll get going. And what that looks like, it's hard to say, Phil, what it actually looks like working with a peer recovery specialist, because we can do so much with you. If you need somebody to just come and hang out, or you want somebody to take you to some meetings because you want to get plugged into your recovery community, we'll go to meetings with you. You need a ride. You don't have transportation, or you don't have a driver's license, and you need a ride to a doctor's appointment or to work, or, we can help with the transportation piece. Or let's say that you just got out of treatment, and I remember being in treatment where they handed out your medicine every single day, 3 times a day to you. And then when I got out on my own, it's like, oh crap, like I got to do this all on my own. And that's, I don't know, it felt like a big mountain for me, but somebody then come and sit with you and help you plan that out and just give you kind of tips. And somebody who, the cool thing about peer recovery is that all these people have lived experience with recovery themselves. So they're not going to be talking to you with head knowledge from a book, maybe a little bit of that, but they actually have lived experience. They've been on the road, they're on the road with you, and so they can give you their personal stories and things that have worked for them. And we're not here to tell you how to do recovery. We're here to meet you where you're at and to support you on whichever pathway to recovery you choose. So some of our role is like, we're a cheerleader, we're an advocate, we're a friend, we're a confidant, we're a truth teller, right? These are some of the relational pieces in our role with you. And so that's kind of what it can look like on a practical level, just somebody to be present with you. Hey, and if you continue to struggle, and let's say you want to go into treatment, we can help get you into a treatment program, and we get to keep being your peer through treatment and after treatment. So I remember I went through literally dozens of treatments, at least a dozen inpatient treatments, multiple more outpatients, and then probably another solid 6 or so plus mental health hospitalization treatments, even more than that. And it was challenging for me, kind of being bounced around by all these different professionals and not having any kind of anchor person that was a consistent person in my life who was with me through all of it. A peer recovery specialist can be that person. We can be that person that's with you through your entire journey of recovery. And that, I think, is pretty powerful. So There you go.
I'm excited. I'm excited.
Yeah.
I already know.
Yes.
I already know. I'm excited. I am. I'm excited, man. I'm real excited. I'm excited about a lot that's going on. I'm excited about what we just did. We shared your hope and testimony. One of the things that I wanted to definitely touch on, I like to go back and relate a little bit with each and every person that comes on here. I can relate with the entire story. Definitely can. And one thing that I wanted to touch on is when you were in that treatment center and you had that spiritual awakening, your first one where, God put something in front of you, or maybe it wasn't your first one, but it was the last one.
Yeah.
Right.
Sure.
Because I think the first one you went to school to be a treatment counselor.
Yep.
But the last one was definitely impactful, and it's a beautiful story because we can't make these things up. This is how we know, people, that God is real. And let me explain the analogy on how we know that God is real after hearing Tiffany's story. We might not be able to see the wind outside moving unless it hits a tree or it hits a bush or it hits a flag. So we know the wind is there by what it does, the actions. So we know that God is there by each and every one of our stories, from coming from the darkness into the light. How Tiffany shared, how God spoke directly to her heart. I can attest to that. I was sitting back in Atlantis Treatment Center, and God spoke to my heart, and he said, everything that you are doing in here is securing a spot for you to come back to a place that you don't like. That thought wasn't from me.
Right.
That's for damn sure.
Yep.
My thought was to get out and to plug up and be the plug once again. Right? That was my thought.
Absolutely.
But God spoke to me, and I know the feeling when that thought comes, and I know also the feeling that when we get them thoughts and we push them away. And we've done that, and that's what you reflected on as well. All the times that he gave us the opportunity to live another shot at life. How many times have we, everybody on this live, got let out of jail or got out of a situation when we did our foxhole prayer, and as soon as we got out, we turned our back on God? I did that damn near all my life. And it wasn't until I was granted with the gift of desperation, because God put it in front of my face that everything I had been doing was securing a spot for me to come back to a place I didn't like. To me, that was desperate. I was like, I'm hopeless, for real. I need help.
It's like that saying, if you always do what you've always done, you'll always get what you always got. And you have to, at some point in time, reach the end of yourself. And until we reach the end of ourselves, that truly like, okay, I'm done. Enough of my own BS. Right? Like the lies that I keep telling myself, enough. It's when we reach the end of ourselves that truly we can see, because God's hand is always there. It's always been there. But that's like when the blindness is gone, the scales removed, and we can see like holy buckets. It's not all about me, and I can't be the Lord of my life. Clearly, when I run my life, it's chaos and destruction. I need somebody else to do it for me. Totally.
Total anxiety. Oh my goodness.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that's the other thing, I'm still to this day often want to pinch myself when I'm really able to see kind of the impact that I have on people's lives now, because I'm not kidding you. I was like the Tasmanian devil, like just shoom, shoom, absolute chaos and destruction. We don't want Tiff around because, we got to steady ourselves. What's going to happen this time? And that it's like I think of it like you throw a pebble in a pond, and it has that ripple effect, right? Like you can't throw a pebble in a pond. You cannot, sow seeds. You can't take actions like the Lord had spoke to you in Atlantis Treatment Center. Like what you're doing now is setting yourself up for the same crap that you were doing before. It's like every little decision you make, and that's for those of you that are listening, every little decision that you make that turns your life towards health. You're either choosing, the decisions you're making are either bringing you closer to health, or they're taking you deeper into destruction and disease and chaos, right? It's really that sort of simple. And so every little decision that you make that turns your life towards the healthy route, it will show up down the road. It will. You're not going to, you plant a seed and you watch it. Like I do that sometimes, in life. Like I'll do something and I'll like wait for the results and want results now and immediately. And that's not how it works. But when you plant that seed and you make that choice and you just kind of cultivate it and water it and nurture it down the road, it will produce change that you want. We just have to be consistent, and it can start with the littlest thing. And that littlest thing might be reaching out for help. That littlest thing might be just being honest with somebody and with yourself. That littlest thing might be, choosing to carry naloxone with you for yourself or for a friend. So the little choices ultimately make a big difference. So it doesn't have to be, some of you that are out there might feel like this is impossible. And it is overnight. It's not going to happen overnight. But those little choices that you make, just start tonight. What's something that you can do today that will bring your life more into alignment with the goals, more into alignment with the life that you ultimately want down the road? Just make it a single choice tonight for that. And then do it again tomorrow and the next day and the next day. And just watch.
We need you to repeat a quote.
Okay.
The quote that you said. We have people on the comments right now. Hold on a second. Let me put Debbie up there. Here we go. Can you just remind me from the office quotes that you said, if you always do what you've always done,
you'll always get what you've always got.
Let's repeat it for her.
If you always do what you've always done, you'll always get what you always got.
Amen. Amen. And I know they got that. I seen them in the comments. They're like, "Oh, I missed that." And then we got people commenting on it. I just wanted to make sure they got the right quote from you.
Yeah, I don't even know where that comes from. I can't.
Here's
I'm
the deal.
notorious for that, not being able to source the quotes. But
it's those simple quotes that mean the most.
Yeah.
I remember when I first started it. One day at a time. Yeah, all right. Yeah, they all say that.
Right.
One day, everything's just, keep it simple. Yeah, they all say that. Keep coming back. They all say, yeah, all right. Yep. That's just how I was. I don't know about anybody else. That's just how I was. Mm-hmm. I was very judgmental on everything. Like, right away, like, I don't know, man. I don't know. But what's funny is, like you said, we can't serve two masters, can we? Nuh-uh. We can't. We either going hard for the devil or we going hard for God. We either going hard for evil or we're either going hard for good. You can't be riding down the middle. Riding on that middle, half measures, they don't avail us nothing. Nuh-uh. Nothing. They didn't do it when you were in the dope game. They didn't do it for me when I was in the dope game. The half measures. Yeah. That ain't what I did when I was trying to get a bag of dope. I didn't half-step that. Hell no.
Right.
No, I didn't half-step that at all. But when we want to change our lives, when God pulls us out of the stuff that we were in, he pulls us out of the stuff that we were in. Half the time it's our 10th, 20th time. Some of us, 30th. But what we want to do is sit there and be like, hey, God, you saved me. Now change me. Now change me. Mm-hmm. I don't want to do nothing, but change me. Yep. That's how I was. Mm-hmm. I went to meetings. I did everything I thought I was supposed to do. Something happened in my life. I didn't have a peer recovery specialist. I wasn't working honest with anyone anyway, so I wouldn't have told them the truth. And what happened was something happened in my life. I went back to my old survival skills.
Yeah.
Picked up. Didn't do the work. Didn't do anything. Expected God to do everything that I could do for myself.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a really good point. That the reality is that it takes work. Recovery is work, and you got to put the work in. But here's the other thing that people, I think, fail to really realize. Man, it was a lot more work from my perspective to live that old life. It was exhausting. It was a ton of work, and it was hard. People will, I hear this so often when I'm counseling people, and like, recovery is hard. Yeah, but it's not as hard as living that life. That's harder. It's unfamiliar. It's unfamiliar and it's uncomfortable maybe, but it's a different kind of hard. And it's the kind of hard that actually produces fruit and produces results. The other hard sucks, and it sucks the life out of you and everyone around you. So it's worth it, It's like, okay, choose your hustle. What kind of hustle are you going to do? And, for me, my experience has been, and it might be different from other people, but I am so big into, and this is the buzzword that people might like even cringe when I say it, but surrender. A surrendered life is a life filled with the power of God. It's a life filled with God himself and not us, right? Because I firmly believe, you guys, that the only good thing in me is Christ. That, like I've said before, the life I used to live is evident of when Tiffany's in charge, and it's not good. But when I'm surrendered to Christ and his power within me and his will and what he wants to do, it's, first of all, he empowers me to do the things that he calls me to do. I have to meet him there. I've got to, he's not just going to take my hands, and I'm not a robot. I've got to be willing and to put the effort in. But it's a joyful kind of thing. It doesn't feel like it used to feel when it was the Tiffany show. It's work, and it's worth it. And I'm not kidding you. I used to spend many days literally like on the floor at Teen Challenge, in the Teen Challenge women's staff office, in tears, saying, this hurts, but it hurts really good. I know that this is going to produce change, and that this is healing, right? If you break a bone, it's painful when it heals. Your healing process is going to be no different. It's going to be painful. It's going to be uncomfortable. And yet it's a good kind of pain. It's a good kind of hurt, not like the other kind of hurt and pain that it's not producing anything worthwhile. It's not producing anything of eternal value. So I just really encourage you to be willing to put the work in, and be willing to have a heart posture that's surrendered to God, because he'll enable you. It says in his word that he will work in you to will and to do his good pleasure. He'll work in you, right? He doesn't ask you to do something and then be like, hey, good luck, kid, you're on your own. Like he provides everything you could possibly need, including his comfort and his very presence and his spirit and people around you. And you're not in this journey alone if you're surrendered to God. It's awesome.
The same power that raised Jesus from the dead lives in each and every one of us that accept Jesus into our lives as our Lord and personal Savior. I did that when I was 13. Guess what? I backslid so much, turned my back on God so much, disrespected him in every which way I could. He still loved me. When I hit my knees, he still came after me when I cried.
Yes.
And he did the same thing for Tiffany. And he can do the same thing for everyone here, everyone not here. God is so powerful, even if you don't believe in him, he'll use you for somebody that does. I had people in my life that didn't believe in God. I found good out of that relationship. I found recovery through some of them people that weren't very spiritual. But I'm going to tell you guys the truth. I ain't seen a lot of people in long-term recovery that don't have a relationship with the living God.
Yeah.
This is the truth. These are the facts. We've been doing this for a little bit. God is the answer to everything. Surrender is what Tiffany said. What do I say every morning? Every morning we talk about surrender. Just about surrender into this program, surrender into that program. If I reach out to Rise Up Recovery and I'm struggling, I better surrender to that program too, because I don't know what to do when I'm at that state in life. And if you think you do know what to do, you in trouble.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, straight up. I was in trouble the whole time. In and out, in and out. I always had a different way. You always had a different way too. We'll do it like this. We'll do it like that.
Yep. Yep. And here's something that's so hopeful and freeing for me is, and like you were talking, Phil, like you accepted Christ into your heart when you were 13 years old, and he never gave up on you. He continued to pursue you, and he says in his word that he began a good work in you and he's going to complete it. It's like, I remember surrendering my life to him. I mean, it was a similar story for me too. I was in junior high at Bible camp and I met God and it wrecked me. And then I completely backslid. And yet he faithfully, relentlessly pursued me and was there and saved me again and again and again. And when I did ultimately surrender to him and my life to him, in that hospital room, I could get along on my journey and some tough stuff would come up. And I am consistently reminded that he's the one that started the good work in me and he's the one that's going to see it through to completion. Not Tiffany. I'm not going to change my heart. I don't have that capability, but Christ can. And he continues to. And it's his job and it's his responsibility. My job is to say, yep, have your way, Lord. Have your way, and to kind of work with him on what he wants to do. So we can harden our hearts, we can do that too. But I certainly don't want to do that.
No, we've done that before.
Yeah.
We have.
Yeah.
Here's what I tell people too. Here's what I'm going to tell you. Tell them again tonight if they're watching. We might have some new people on tonight. If we got some new people on tonight, do me a favor. If you haven't, go ahead and hit the like button on this page. Like this page. Follow this page. We appreciate you stopping by. And I look forward to getting to know you and your journeys. I'm seeing some people on here that I haven't seen before. One of them is a recovery coach, a peer recovery specialist out in Nashville.
Nice.
Her name's Clean. Her name's Debbie. She was the one that said wishes she was closer to you.
Awesome.
Can you read that, or you want me to read it to you?
I can see it. Yeah.
Okay.
That's great. Good for you, Debbie. That's amazing.
That's right. Yeah, I was digging around over here because I have the Bible that I went to Awana with where I got saved.
No way.
I have that Bible. Literally I gave it to my daughter.
Okay.
I did give it to my daughter, but hold on a second. Let me grab this because it's right here.
Awesome.
I'm looking at it, but I can't reach it, so I have to get up. So now everybody's seen me get up on the live, which is awesome. So now you guys can say you seen me get up out of the chair. I used to have an Awana card with this thing too.
That's cool.
I don't even think the date or anything's in here. I have no idea, but I got little scriptures that I wrote down in there as a 13-year-old. Drew some angels on there. Had some real messy handwriting, trying to memorize scripture and stuff like that. But this is something that my grandmother saved for me.
Wow.
Yeah. And that's pretty cool, man, to have this and be able to give that to my daughter. It's definitely a blessing. Because I'm going to be honest with you. When I got out, I didn't have anything. Like, I never really had a place to live. So for me to have this Bible after all these years and my grandma held on to it, I did have my Awana card. That's what I was digging around looking for, just to see when that actually was.
But
that's an important.
Like, how powerful that this is the other thing. You are changing generations, right? Like, we get to change your kids don't ever have to know the old Phil. Like, they never have to meet him or see him, or like, you can tell stories someday and they get to be like, what? Not my daddy, like, same thing for me. Like, that generational kind of curse and generational pattern stops. It's done. it does not continue with me and my family. It doesn't. My kids will never know me as, oh, Tiffany, the mentally ill addict. You know, it's never going to be that way. It's going to be, hey, my mom who is recovered from a substance use disorder and mental illness, and like, look at the impact she makes, like completely changing generational lines. And that is super amazing. You get to give your kids your Awana Bible and like raise them up in the Lord and not in the chaos and destruction that we came from. Like, it's amazing.
A life that I never would have dreamed. I could never visualize, and I visualized a lot sitting in prison cells waiting to get out. Believe that.
Right. Yeah, I'm sure.
I visualized a lot, right? I have never visualized the life that God had brought me into. And it did not, like you said, happen overnight. I was released from prison in 2011, just in case we have some new people on that don't know. But life gets better. We do this deal one day at a time. We keep our head down. We take suggestions from other people that have walked the path that we're trying to go on. We continue to surrender to the people and the places in our life that God puts in front of us to mentor us, to bring us up, ultimately to produce fruit. Because we ain't been producing no fruit all of our lives. Our job is to produce fruit. It really is. You will know them by their fruit. We are supposed to be out there serving other people. Not everybody is called to launch a ministry, but everybody is called to love thy neighbor as thyself. Everyone is called to do something for someone else that is selfless. The people that have started ministries sure could use help. I know this for a fact, that ministries are looking for volunteers to come on and help them on their outreach project. I know that Tiffany has a bus, and I think you talked about it, the Grace Project.
Yep.
I mean, there's a lot of opportunity for us as individuals in recovery to not only, one day at a time stay sober, but then when we start to do that, we start to get out there and live a little. We start to get some of them results from recovery. We start to get some of that confidence back. We start to understand that God has our back, and we start to be bold and courageous, and we start to speak. We start to share. We start to reach our hand out, because now that we're up here now, so to say, we got a little bit of sobriety, right? We got some work that we've done. We got to reach our hand out and help the people up the mountain, because all of us got to stand on this thing together. None of us graduate from this. This is a lifelong deal. The spiritual life isn't a theory. We have to live it every day. Every day. We have to wake up and choose it. We can let things take us out of our focus, take us out of our purpose. Mm-hmm. Ultimately, that's what happens when we let our own heads get in the way. I know that for sure. Man, I'm my own worst enemy. I tell people all the time, because I hear a lot of people reach out to me, and they tell me this a lot. They say I'm struggling. And I always say, don't tell yourself that. You're living and you're learning. You can struggle, don't get me wrong, but telling yourself, hey, I'm living and learning. Struggling is something that we did. That's something that I did back when I was early on. I didn't know how to, I was struggling in prison. I was struggling in there. But out here, I learned a new way to live, and I did the work. So for me to say that I'm struggling is just, I always like to say I'm living and I'm learning, because ultimately the mistakes I make today, or the fears that I have today, are ultimately to do something good, right? You were talking about those fears. The fear of change, the fear of we're scared to do it, but when we do it, we're going to produce some fruit. Mm-hmm. That type of stuff. That's the stuff that actually, the pain, we grow. Those struggles are lessons, and we grow from them. I just like to use a little bit of self-talk because I can tell myself a lot of stuff. You know what I mean? If I'm telling myself I'm struggling all the time, I don't know. Maybe that button's right there, and I don't want to hit that button no more. So I always tell myself, I'm living and learning because, I've been doing this for 10 years. I shouldn't be struggling. That's my own opinion.
Sure.
You know what I mean? That's my own opinion because I'm one of those guys that likes to be tough. Because that's the guys and gals I like to talk to, the tough guys. I can't remember the tough girls' names. They told me it before. Mine is Billy Bad, you know what. And that's what I thought I was for so many years until I realized how much of a coward I was.
Sure.
And how much, because every time I had the opportunity to make a change, I got scared as hell. Like you said, that uncomfortable feeling that I had. And I ran from it every time because I knew that it was going to be hard, right? That's what I thought. I wanted everything to happen, on my terms.
Sure.
Yeah, it don't work like that. Your story tells us that. Many people's story tells us that we have to surrender.
And choose your hard, right? It's going to be hard, but choose your hard. Which hard? Which hard are you going to choose? It's going to be hard either way. Choose your hard.
That's right. Life on life
hard.
terms.
Yeah. And that reminds me of that saying that that mountaintops are for views, but the valley is what's meant for the growth. It's like mountaintops are great for views and for, just like a little rest. But the reality is that the valley is where the growth happens. So try not to despise the struggle and not to despise hardship and suffering, right? Learning how to suffer well. That's something I'm still really working on, suffering well. Not easy, but the other thing that I see people struggle with a lot is, like you said, throwing in the towel. Like I used to have my running shoes laced up constantly. Like I was that person who ran for multiple treatments. When it did get difficult, I was like, phew, I'm out of here. But learning to like hang up the running shoes, I don't need them anymore. Like get some lead feet, just stay planted and rooted where I'm at. Those of you who are in treatment or going to go to treatment, or like stick it out. Just stick it out. You won't regret it. And that's the other thing that's really cool is living a life that you don't ever have to have regrets anymore. You don't. Like, I don't have to have regrets. I don't have to have days where I'm like, gosh, I wish I wouldn't have done that, or I wish I would have taken that opportunity that was given for me. You don't have to. Recovery frees you up from that chain too. So I'm ranting again.
We just had a live on no regrets.
Oh, nice.
And then we always talking about surrender.
Awesome.
Yeah. It's just like I said, man. God's gonna show up tonight. And he's gonna do his thing, and that's what he did. He definitely spoke through you tonight, and with your words, with your testimony, with your influence. You have a very powerful vocabulary. You have a very powerful speech about you. When you were talking, people were on the comments responding. We have tons. So I always tell people when we get off the live to just, maybe not tonight because it might be late, but you'll have to go through and you'll have to look at all these people that commented on your live, because there is a lot of them.
Thank you.
I can't see exactly the number right now. It doesn't matter. You'll be busy if you go through and you go look through the comments. I'll do it too. That's what we do. That's what I do. I look through them and make sure, that I didn't, miss anything or anything like that. I do care that each and every one of you do drop a comment on here, because I know how important it is to comment and engage with this live while we're live, because it does put us in the algorithm on Facebook, and it helps to get views on this live. I am so glad that each and every one of you showed up tonight for this awesome story of hope. If you guys haven't, please do me a favor. Share this live on your page. Share this live in recovery groups, because we want to get this message out to someone that might be struggling tonight. Because I want you guys to know it's Saturday night. There's someone out there struggling. Someone was struggling last night. Someone last night didn't make it. Tonight, multiple people won't make it. That's the truth. This is a life or death matter. We share our stories on here because we hope that this live, this page, might run across someone that might be ready to throw in the towel. And they might get some inspiration and hope to give it another shot. You never know who's watching. You never know who's out there hurting. Tiffany said it. I'll say it. We are here to meet you right where you're at. There is no judgment ever on this page. We are here to meet you where you're at. If you're struggling today, there's a website that we put on the comments. There's also a Facebook page pinned to the comments at the top. Reach out to that website. Reach out to that Facebook page. Reach out to me. Reach out to someone if you're struggling, because our hands are out here. We got our hands out. That's why we're here. That's why we share, because we care. We don't want people dying from this every 11 minutes, for crying out loud. That's devastating. And I want to tell you guys something. I started in the addiction counseling field in 2012 is when I started to go to school for addiction counseling, and I started to work in a ministry. Guess what? It's only gotten worse. I'm not even kidding. It's only gotten worse. Why do you think I do this every day? Why do you think Tiffany has started Rise Up Recovery? Why do you think Sherry has started the Recovery Cafe? People are rising up to start ministries because we have people that are dying 11 minutes, every 11 minutes. It's sad. It really is. Tiffany, I want to thank you for coming on. I just went off on a tangent. My bad. I do want to thank you for coming on tonight. We had a good crowd tonight. We got a lot of comments. Like I said, get it. You'll have to go through either, whenever you got time. I know you're busy. Check out the comments. A lot of people were supporting you. I seen a guy named Dean. He supports you a lot.
Oh, Dean. Yeah. Dean's amazing. Yeah, oh, great. Yeah, Dean donated our building, our Rise Up Community Center and offices. Yeah, he's incredible. Awesome.
I thought I recognized him because I seen him. He did a share. He tried to share.
Oh, sweet.
The live on Facebook. He tried to share something on Facebook earlier this week, and I was like, "Is that the Dean that I met?" His Facebook picture is he's a younger man.
He's a younger guy. Yep.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep. If he's on here, shout out to Dean. We appreciate you, brother.
Mm-hmm.
We know that technology can't be easy for all of us, but hey, we got people on here sharing their story. We got people commenting. We're having a good time. It's nice that we can come on to these lives on Saturdays and in the mornings and communicate with people all around the world. And it really feels like I'm talking to them. It's crazy. Yeah. You'll see soon. You'll see soon. Yes, you will. You definitely will. I hope.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for having me.
Go ahead. I was going to say, what were you going to say?
I was just going to say thank you so much for having me, and definitely thank you to everybody who's out there, and your support is extremely appreciated, and we wouldn't be where we're at today without the support that we have. So yeah, we appreciate it.
Amen. Do you want to leave them with any words of encouragement before we end it? Because what I'll do is I will remove you from the screen after you give your words of encouragement. Then I'll close us out, and then I'll throw a little video on. Yeah,
I don't know that I have any more. other than kind of what I've shared, that it's possible. And my hope for you is that you just take the first step, whatever that step is for you, to live a life that is worthy and meaningful. And yeah, it's possible. Recovery is possible, and I'm living proof. So
Yes, you
reach
are.
out. Reach out if you need anything.
Yep. Reach out if you guys need anything. We will get the website link is in the comments. Reach out to me if you want the website link. I'll send it to you too, or the Facebook page, whatever you need.
Yeah.
If you need to get a hold of Rise Up Recovery, you can get a hold of me if you missed the links or anything like that. I want to thank you, Tiffany, for coming on and spending time with us. We were on for over an hour, and we had a great live, and I appreciate you, and I appreciate your story. I definitely appreciate God for bringing us together. I definitely appreciate God for changing our lives and allowing us to collaborate together with no interference with technology. And we got his story out through you. And that's important. That is important. It really is. We are bright spots in other people's lives, but really, truly, we see God in other people. We do. We see God in other people. We really do. So, Tiffany, thank you very much. I'm gonna pull you on the backstage.
Thank you, Phil.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
I appreciate you.
Yeah.
I'm gonna pull you back on the backstage, and then I'm gonna close us out. And then if you're back there, you're back there. If you're not, you're not. I'll send you a message and I'll get a hold of you. I do appreciate you and Chad. You guys have some safe travels and enjoy the night. I'll talk to you soon.
Okay.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.
God bless.
God bless you. Well, everybody. Another Saturday Night Live. Tonight, we had a very special story. Someone who I did not know in using, but we have become friends through recovery over, I don't know, the last month or so, when I found out she and her husband, Chad, were forming a ministry in Hastings. We started to talk and we started to communicate and connect and network together and start to figure out how we can deal hope to people, how we can help people, how we can help the still suffering. Really, that's what it's all about, y'all. That's what it's all about. Tonight, we shared a great, amazing testimony. I want to thank you guys for being patient with me with my screen deal. You know, I was trying to give us a new look tonight with the new screen. What happened was it started lagging on me, and I just took it down because I want to make sure that this message gets out to people, because it doesn't matter what it looks like. We got to get this message out, because Tiffany's message was a story about how God had never left her, had never forsaken her, even though God had given her opportunity after opportunity and had saved her life multiple times, overdosing, things like that. He never left her and he never forsaked her. And when she heard his voice, he changed her life. He gave her the courage to do the work. He gave her his power to face her fears. He gave her his love for one another, for her to go serve. What a beautiful story. From darkness to light. Man, I appreciate each and every one of you for coming on tonight, spending time with me once again. I will be live in the morning before church. If you guys want to come and hang out with me, we will be doing a Good Morning Live tomorrow morning. It is going to be a late night. I'll be tired in the morning, but I definitely will be live before church talking to you guys about recovery as we normally do. I thank you for tuning in to another Saturday Night Live broadcast with me, your boy, Phil Tyler, on this page, Against the Odds. It is a blessing to be able to come together and share hope in someone's hopeless world. For real, it is such a blessing to be able to share these things with each and every one of you. Thank you guys for your support. I am forever grateful for each and every one of you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. You guys all have a blessed night. Peace.
Just like many of you, my whole entire life I've been living against the odds. More than ever in my life I am focused, serving hope to the hopeless, while living against the odds. I'm from the mud, the dirt of society, and that created this driving me to help the whole